What's going on, Vikings fans? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, it is my favorite show I do every single week here on the channel, where it's just me and you guys talking about the Minnesota Vikings, where we answer your questions. A part of our mailbag where we go live every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central Time. So if you guys haven't tuned in then, please do so. They're a lot of fun. It's just, guys and girls chopping it up about the Minnesota Vikings. We're actually going to start off with a super chat coming in from Cole. What's going on, man? Saying, if Murphy gets the tag, do you think it increases the chances of Bynum getting re-signed quite a bit, or does the front office truly focus on the interior O-line and D-line? So if you guys didn't see the news, Byron Murphy, they moved his void date back, so he will not be eligible for the franchise tag. But that also means his chances of re-signing with the Minnesota Vikings are a lot higher than they would be. But let's just say they did tag Murphy. I actually agree with you, Cole. I think it would give Bynum a better chance of getting re-signed. And also on Cam Bynum, I have seen contract projections thrown all around the room. Like, I have seen sometimes of him getting $17, $18 million. And some other publications have him getting $12, $13 million. I'll tell you what, if it's $13 or $17 million for Cam Bynum, the Vikings should not do that whatsoever. I understand. Fantastic locker room guy. He knows the defense well, but $17 million for a safety, considering the issues you have at the D-line and O-line, I just couldn't do it. But the part about the front office focusing on the interior O-line and D-line, it's a copycat league. I think they're 100% going to address it big time. INT Productions, what's going on, man? Saying hashtag Vikings trading Sam Darnold for Myles Garrett and picks. I think the Vikings would be the team attaching picks to a Sam Darnold, Myles Garrett trade. But we actually talked about this on a show where it would be like the trade example I think we had was like Sam Darnold plus your first-round pick, then a third for Myles Garrett. I don't hate that idea, but also with where the Browns are at, they're paying Watson a lot of money this upcoming season. I think he's on the books for like $52 million. Are you going to pay Watson $52 and then you're going to pay Sam Darnold $40? I understand Kevin Stefanski, he would probably love to have Darnold, but I love this idea. I just don't know if the Browns would consider this. I don't think they're in the sweepstakes for Sam Darnold, but if you could somehow pull it off, Sam Darnold in a first for Myles Garrett, you shake the Browns' hand and you get out of there. Corey Miller, what's going on, man? Send a $2 super chat. We appreciate you. Saying, do we have a chance at 10-plus wins this season with JJ McCarthy? 110%. This Vikings football team will be a better football team than it was last season. Will they win 14 games? I'm going to probably say no. That is incredibly hard to do back-to-back seasons in the NFL. But you have a ton of money to spend in free agency. Also, you're getting Christian Darrisaw back. There is no bigger free agent pickup, or there's no bigger trade a team can make, maybe besides Myles Garrett, to have an immediate impact at a premium position. Like getting a top 3 left tackle back in the National Football League, that's honestly something I think I've done a poor job of honestly not talking about it enough, is how impactful Darrisaw will be back with this team. But again, Corey, just like I was saying last year, the pieces aren't in place for the Vikings to be successful. You got a left tackle, you got a wide receiver, you got a great coaching staff, you got a talented defense. It comes down to that quarterback spot. And when Sam Darnold was playing well, Vikings were winning games. When he didn't play well, Vikings were struggling. So I think they have a good chance at getting 10-plus wins this season. We'll have to wait and see, though. Maya's World, what's going on? Next question. Saying, hashtag Vikings, which quarterback or defensive line can we improve so we can make it to the Super Bowl? Skull, go Vikings. Quarterback, I think you're getting an improvement with just JJ McCarthy being the starter. Some people say I'm crazy for think that. I truly believe it. I'm a believer in the kid. He's a special, special talent. But in terms of the defensive line, I think that's where the Vikings will see the most improvement from last season to this season. Like, obviously, offensive line, that's in there as well. But if you can improve that interior of the defensive line by going and getting yourself a Milton Williams, by going and getting yourself maybe a guy like Osa from the Cowboys, like, that could make huge, huge dividends for the Vikings this season, because you already got a great pass rush on the exterior of the defensive line. Can you get pressure from the interior? Because that's something Harrison Phillips, Jonathan Pollard didn't really do. But also, X factor for next season, Jalen Redmond. He popped at the second half of the year. UDFA, defensive tackle, one of the highest graded guys in the National Football League. If you could have a rotation of Redmond, Milton Williams, Harrison Phillips, good luck for other quarterbacks in the NFC. But let me ask you guys this, and we'll get to some super chats and more questions here just in a second. But Who is the most underrated Viking of all time? I was thinking about this myself. Don't know if I came up with a good answer for this. I was going to go Phil Loadholt, right tackle from back in the day. I also like Sidney Rice as an answer to this question. But if you guys got a good one, who do you think is a Vikings player that gets under-talked about and underappreciated? Also, the older Vikings fan, I would love to have your guys' thoughts on this right now, as I'm only 25 years old, so I don't really know too much about the 80s and 90s. But if you guys could, most underrated Viking of all time, let me know down below. Now, we get to more questions and your super chats here in a second, but first, let me tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor. That's Public Rec. So this February, treat yourself right because comfort is always in season. Upgrade to Public Rec and feel the difference. For a limited time, you can get 20% off at Public Rec by using code CHAT20 at checkout. Just head to Public Rec, use code CHAT20, and you are all set. And guys, let's be for real for a minute. Nobody's got time for stiff, uncomfortable clothes anymore. You know what I mean? It's February. It's freezing cold right now in Minnesota, and you deserve to be comfortable in whatever you're wearing, no matter what you're doing. That's where Public Rec comes in. These pants are a game changer. Their pants are designed to be as comfy as your favorite sweats, but way more stylish. We're talking super soft fabric, no stiff seams, and enough to stretch to keep up with whatever your day throws at you. Public Rec isn't just about pants, though. They have so many great style options. Whether you're working all day in the office, running errands, or just grabbing a drink with the fellas, who doesn't want to look sharp without sacrificing comfort? And I'll tell you, once you put them on, you're going to wonder why you ever wore anything else besides Public Rec. So this February, treat yourself right because comfort is always in season. Upgrade to Public Rec and feel the difference. For a limited time, you can get 20% off at Public Rec by using code CHAT20 at checkout. Just head to publicrec.com, use code CHAT20, and you are all set. Oh, and when they ask you where you found them, be sure to mention our show. It really helps us out. Find your perfect fit and never compromise on comfort again. Public Rec, where comfort rules. Blinky, what's going on, my friend? Saying, saw some people speculating if the Vikes O-line coach is on the hot seat if they swing Trey Smith or whiff, is the O-line coach out the door? If so, what's your take? Listen, the Vikings go out there and get Drew Dalman, Trey Smith, and one of these top-tier offensive linemen. 110%. The offensive line coach would be on the hot seat if they don't perform. Because then it wouldn't be a talent issue. You would have a first-rounder in Darisaw. You got a great right tackle in O'Neal. If you go get Trey Smith and Drew Dalman, what's the excuse to not have a solid running game or to protect the quarterback? There would be one. It would be on the coaches. It would be on these other guys. So I think 100% Blinky. Haven't heard much about the Vikings offensive line coach being on the hot seat. He is pretty well respected amongst league circles. So I don't know if Kevin O'Connell would potentially attempt to do that. But Blinky, I appreciate you. Unfortunately, bored. What's going on? Hopefully you're not bored watching this show. But shout out to you for tuning in. Saying hashtag Vikings. Does the fate of the Vikings rest on JJ McCarthy's shoulders? 110%, man. Hate putting pressure on number 9 like that, but yeah, JJ, if you're watching this video, the pressure's all on you. And, it's a great spot to be in because also if the Vikings are very successful next season, the quarterback's getting all the credit. But if they're bad, the quarterback's getting killed. And, I'll tell you what, it is going to drive me crazy because JJ, it's going to be his first time starting the NFL next year, obviously. And let's just say the Vikings, who have a very, very tough schedule, like let's just say they start 1-3 and JJ has a couple of bad games. I know people are going to be killing him. Just be patient. The kid just turned 22 years old. So even if he doesn't come out the gates lighting it up, just be patient. Take a breath. Trust the process here because Kevin O'Connell, Kwesi, this is all part of their master plan to hopefully get the Vikings to a Super Bowl. But the fate of the Vikings, yeah, it's right there on number 9's right shoulder. Token, what's going on? Hashtag Vikings. I've seen more mocks considering moving on from TJ Hockinson for cap relief and draft capital. I am a huge Hawk fan, and the injury hurts him, but his production has been lacking. This is a great question, Token. Yeah, I agree with you, TJ Hockinson. Like, is he living up to being one of the highest paid tight ends in the National Football League? Absolutely not. This past season, especially in that Lions game, Week 18, I thought he was terrible. A lot of these 50-50 balls should have been going TJ's way, but they weren't. Some of these he wasn't even getting a hand on the football. But, in terms of trading him for draft capital, I really don't know what the Vikings could get. Maybe you could get a second, third round pick. But let's just say a team offers you like the 42nd pick in the draft for Hawk. I say you take it and run. Because also these tight ends nowadays, they're hitting at an all-time rate. Like the Sam Laportas, the Brock Bowers, Tucker Kraft, who's the guy in the Bills, Dalton Kincaid. Like all of these guys are coming out and they're making big-time impacts right away. And also this year, it's a loaded tight end draft. Like I wish the Vikings were in the market for a tight end because I would love to draft one this season. So it comes down to what you could get for TJ Hockinson. But if you could get enough, I'd be open to moving off him. Cole, what's going on? Another $10 super chat. Shout out to you if everybody could. Give me a skull. Cole, down below in the live chat right now. Show him some love. But he's saying, we know JJ was very mobile at Michigan. Do you think that injury affects his mobility a lot or not as much as some think? I don't think it's going to affect his mobility at all. I don't know if you guys saw this. Breakfast Ball. It's a show on Fox Sports. They're talking about the Vikings today. And one of my biggest gripes of this offseason was these big-time national media guys just not understanding the Vikings situation. And he was making the argument that the Vikings should bring back Darnold. And then he was like, oh, JJ McCarthy's coming off a torn ACL. Listen, if he was coming off a torn ACL, I would have a totally different thought on who the Vikings should bring in as quarterback one this upcoming year. He's coming off a torn meniscus. He's already throwing on air. He's apparently going to be 110% for OTA. So, Cole, I agree with you. He was very mobile at Michigan. The one thing about JJ that people, and it's my biggest gripe with when they talk about him, is they just say, oh, he was just a handoff guy. He wasn't doing much. On these, because there's something you can do on this film website where you could filter it all to 3rd and 7+ plays. And you go watch JJ on these 3rd and long situations. This guy was playing backyard football with not a great receiving core at Michigan. He had Loveland, he had Roman Wilson, he had some good weapons on the outside, but it's not like he was working with the Ohio State receivers when Stroud was throwing, to just first-round pick after first-round pick. But his mobility, that's going to be something that you Vikings fans are going to absolutely love this upcoming year, and just the backyard football part of his game, man. This dude's a gamer. I'm just getting fired up talking about JJ. Can't wait to see him play. But T-Sugar coming in saying #Vikings. I am totally fine with overspending on offensive line. That is where we will find success next year and in the years to come. So I agree with you. It's been an interesting conversation seeing Vikings fans talk about Trey Smith because he's supposed to get 5 years, $110 million. It's going to be a hefty payday if you want to go land Trey Smith in the purple and gold. But yeah, I'm cool with overpaying for it just because it's been an issue for the Vikes over the last couple of years. Like, if this was a situation where it was like, Vikings have had good offensive lines over the last couple of years. Like, do you want to go throw the bag at a guy like Trey Smith, who was a 6th-round pick? It's not like he was a 1st-round pick coming out. He is completely playing over his expectations to where he was drafted. But, T, I'm with you. They should go out, spend big money in free agency, and hopefully the Vikings do just that. Astro, what's going on? Good old friend here of the show saying, #Vikings. If we do trade for Myles Garrett, what does that leave us with free agency? Do you think you would trade Sam Darnold and Jordan Addison in a 4th-round pick for Myles Garrett? Love that question. Darnold, Addison, and a 4th for Myles. You guys let me know in the comments section. Would you do that trade? I don't have a good answer for you. My gut's telling me to say yes. My gut's telling me to say yes on this deal. Will the Browns say yes to this deal? I absolutely think no. Garrett would take up probably $35 extra million in free agency, so you wouldn't be able to go throw money at an elite interior offensive lineman and an elite defensive lineman, but you could still throw big money at one. But also Myles Garrett, man, like, he would give the Vikings an unsolvable problem. Grenard, Garrett coming off the edge with Van Ginkel, being that chaotic blitzer, it would be unreal watching him in that Flores system. I'm going to cop out. I'm not going to give you an answer, Astro. But if you guys want to, let Astro know your thoughts down below. Now, if you guys also made it to the end of today's mailbag, give me a skull down below in the comment section. Let me know where all the real ones are at. Appreciate you guys for watching this entire thing. And yeah, shout out to all the real ones. And then also, I am on Twitter. Hit me up over there. That's the handle, @PatSeeps. Got the link for you guys in the comments and description of today's show. But give me a follow on Twitter, and I'll give you guys a follow right back. Thanks so much for watching. Skol Vikes.